Hello and welcome back everybody to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2019. We started this week with the round of 76 back at that ESL Arena, and after 4 full open brackets, we've whittled it down to the round of 24 group stage. The players are warming up and settling in behind me as we have 12 new faces that have joined us through the open qualifiers as well as in competition is bound to get even harder. So let's jump right into the group that'll kick things off for us. It's Group A.
The 2 players I definitely expect to advance out of Group A are Zest and Stats. I think Stats is still the best Protoss overall. I think he's just very complete, all-around solid. And Zest, I don't know how he does it, but somehow he always wins PvP. I think, of course, the biggest story here is SpeCial going up against 5 Protosses. It's pretty much a nightmare draw. And I do think that SpeCial can bring out some very good builds in general. The problem is he's going to have to do it 5 best of 3s in a row. And I think that's a little too much ask.
Zest and Stats come out as the best PvP players in this group, but SpeCial is also thrown in the deep end. The Terran player who hates playing against Protoss has to play against 5 of the best in the world. He's shown some good games in the past. We're going to find out if he can do it again.
Vodafone presents the pre-match.
Let's get to it. It's going to be Group A starting things off here to figure out who's going to be moving on into the brackets later on throughout the tournament. And we are back at the battle station here to bring you all of the games that are going to be going down. Not only the main game, but also covering some of our games here on the laptops as they continue here in this round-robin group stage. All important to note that every player will play against every player, and then at the end, that will determine how they are going to be placed. And to my left-hand side, in control and Rotterdam. Gentlemen, we're going to start things off by talking about SpeCial going up against Stats. And you already mentioned it in our pre-show, but obviously I think it needs reiterating. SpeCial has an absolute mountain to climb here in this group.
It's a BlizzCon rematch, I believe.
Of the last 2 years even, not
the
just
last
20.
3 years?
No, 2.
2 years?
Yeah.
2 years.
Amazing.
2 years.
I mean, obviously you favor Stats here. The Terrans have been pretty outspoken about their struggles with the TVP matchup against Protoss in general right now. And SpeCial at his best, I think, has always been better in the TVT matchup and TVZ specifically. It's always been kind of like Neeb or Showtime that's been his kind of roadblock at WCS. So it's hard to go from that to Stats and being like, yeah, but I really see SpeCial making it past this. And not to get past this too far, but I really like what Rotterdam said to open the show, where he says, with each best of 3, I think it actually gets harder for SpeCial. And that was really good analysis by this guy. Rotterdam over here is a really smart kid.
This guy.
Just every once in a while he says this thing and I'm like, geez Louise, where'd that come from? But I think if he has a chance to win, it would have been this first one, but starting with Stats,
Yeah, that's
it's just like, bam, dude.
That as well. I think if he would have opened up this group, let's say Patience or maybe even a Hero, I think stylistically that would
Even
already...
greater.
Yeah, that would all be better than Stats. This is probably the worst first match. Now, of course, you can say that if he wins this, it's going to be double amazing. But first of all, that is going to be incredibly difficult. Second of all, that could even backfire down the road because Stats is most likely going to win quite a few of these PvPs.
Yeah.
I know there are some Stats doubters out there right now because he lost in GSL round of 32. But I think sometimes we judge a player for a little too long for a one-day performance. It's not like he was losing for 6 weeks straight. Like, no, he had a bad day. That kind of stuff happens. So overall, it's just going to be super tough for SpeCial.
And Stats is the kind of guy that makes it to grand finals. Sometimes doesn't have the best time there, thanks to someone like Cyril. But the point is, he's making it to those grand finals. He's a phenomenal player.
Hey, he took 2 or 3 maps off of Cyril. I mean, a lot of, it's a weird world we live in where we're talking about Koreans taking maps off of Cyril, but no, he gave up a good fight in that grand final that Cyril was then able to kind of take for himself. But this is a different beast. This is it's still the round of 24, by the way. That's the amazing thing about Katowice, is we're like, it feels like semi-final atmosphere or something like that. It's not. This is actually Stats' first, like he just landed a couple days ago and here he is. So he is not nervous. He's traveled. He's looking at probably his best draw possible because he probably respects, that's the other part too. He respects the PvP more. He's like, this is the matchup that I've been laddering for like the last month and winning most of my games.
Now, you gotta love Stats. absolutely have high expectations of him. I don't see him losing in this group stage. Obviously, he could maybe drop a series, but I really think he is going to advance. And in the playoffs, that's where things can become a little bit more difficult, because I'm not saying that he's an overwhelming favorite if he goes up against a Maru or an Inno or a Rogue, but in this group, Stats to me is really the guy that stands out, and I know that Patience is a crazy and sometimes really good PvP player as well. Zest has an overall good winning record in this matchup, but Stats is my guy in this group for sure.
Well, the other two matches that are going to be going on while this is happening are Zest versus Hero and Patience versus Creator, and hopefully as this series continues on, we'll be able to give you some updates on those as well.
I have an update.
Do you?
It's a most update and a little bit of a prediction, because we are having a little bit of technical difficulties here, so I wasn't able to see the absolute conclusion.
Okay.
But Patience had 170 supply to the 109 of Creator, and then they went into a pause. So I'm going to go ahead and guess Creator did not dig himself out of that hole.
Right.
The army was right outside the natural. It should be 1-0 Patience. And he's a little bit of a spoiler in the group. Like, I don't disagree with Kevin about, you know, the favorites in this group and stuff like that, but keep your eye on Zest and keep your eye on Patience. That guy just has a way of making himself in the top 8 of stuff.
Let's hope he continues blinking into as many armies as possible. That'd be great.
Yeah. I'll be there for it.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. It's time to head over to our commentary team here for our first series. Stats goes up against SpeCial.
G'day guys, it has begun, the round of 24. We had to take a whole day off and we were just itching for some more StarCraft, Ben. It's about time, what do you reckon?
It is about time, but man, this is going to be a rough trot for SpeCial. When I saw that group draw, all the memes came out, left, right, and center. I was really, really, really crying for SpeCial, because it doesn't get much more difficult than that. And also, starting off these 5 best-of-3s with Stats first, the main reason that's bad is because he is the one player that could show all the other Protosses how it's done, how to have a stellar defense and really shut down this very aggressive Mexican Terran.
Yeah, and that's a bit of a micro versus macro situation where we're looking at the big picture, like does SpeCial get out of this group in the end? But at the moment, we're just concentrated on this one series. This one best-of-3, I think, completely doable for SpeCial. He's beaten Stats before, especially when it matters, and a lot of these, even as recently as the qualifiers for this event, in the American server qualifiers. And honestly, Stats has been looking a little bit shaky in this matchup in particular. While he looks really good still in PvP and PvZ, PvT, he hasn't had a whole lot of, you know, impressive scalps lately in this matchup.
No, you're totally right, Maynard. I mean, he did lose to Cure in GSL, and I would class SpeCial on a very similar level to Cure, if not better. And the fact that these guys have played quite a bit, actually. They do have 10 matches over the past few years. Stats is leading, but that doesn't mean that SpeCial hasn't taken a few series. I remember him winning in the group stage against both Stats and TY, the Splice brothers. And yeah, SpeCial's honestly a strong player, but man, what a mountain to climb, and starting off with this juggernaut of a player.
The interesting relationship about these Splice brothers is that I would even argue that TY might even be closer to SpeCial than he is to Stats.
That is true. Because we talk about it. Like, who does TY help in this situation? He's got like his young Padawan in SpeCial, but he's got his Splice brother in Stats. Maybe it's one of those situations where you stay out of it. You know, you don't help either one as much as you want to see both of them do well. But the thing is, it's not as if both of them have to go out or one succeeds and one doesn't. They both can still easily make it through this group, Stats especially, honestly.
Well, we are getting into it, guys. Let's start the action in the bottom right from Splice, the Korean Protoss. It is Stats.
Truly magnificent player. He was yawning a little bit before this game, but that's just how he rolls. And sporting as the Red Terran in the northwest side, it is SpeCial.
Currently teamless, having recently just lost his, well, not lost, but left his last team. We'll see where he goes from here. No doubt he won't be teamless for long. Interesting pylon here from Stats, looking like he wants to deny the Reaper ledge here for the natural.
This serves a few purposes, actually, Maynard. So putting the gateway on the low ground here, the gateway is obviously much closer to your opponent's base. This is a map with a very short rush distance. So a lot of those builds where you get out a very fast Cell or a very fast Adept and a Stalker, you can shut down that CC a little bit easier than most maps. SpeCial opting for a Barracks first, then a Gas, which is very indicative of the Reaper first, then following up with a Marine, but there is a new build out, Maynard.
We did talk about that.
Extremely fast Reactor after the Reaper, so genuinely curious to see what he's doing there. Stats showing a lot of respect to his opponent too.
Yes, scouting around the map, of course. His teammate TY, who we mentioned earlier, is a good friend of SpeCial's. They're very, very close. They share builds. In fact, they look very, very similar in-game. If you change the nameplate from SpeCial to TY, sometimes it could be convinced that it's the other guy. But that is something that TY has been showing a lot in this matchup, at least in yesteryear. A month ago, he was proxying all the time. And Stats is just making sure that the dishes are done, as it were, like everything's clean around his natural.
Now, SpeCial sending an SCV across the map, by the way, that is also a ton of respect for his opponent, just checking for a proxy gateway here. It is one of the shorter rush distance maps. Going to be getting that CC up. It is getting harassed by the probe, so SpeCial confident to just come back with that SCV and just say like, hey, yeah, you're not proxying me in a very obvious location, but wow, he's just kind of let it go and letting this probe run away. This is all opting very normally, and look, we have a Marine instead of the reactor, so this isn't some cheeky Raven build thus far. This is the innovation build that we've seen a lot in GSL. This is very standard TVP thus far.
Yeah, getting his gas after the factory instead of just before. It's taking a bit more damage here on this SCV in the natural, but that Marine popping out after the Reaper will shoot the probe away. Get out of here.
Now, that Adept, serving its purpose, going to try and keep this Reaper, or at least kill this Reaper, not wanting to lose too many probes. SpeCial cannot afford to lose this Reaper. He's getting a decent scout of his opponent's base, but no tech structure is currently down. Now, you might be like, kill that probe. This Reaper is not about killing the probes right now. It is all about getting information.
Well, unfortunately, it looks like it's going to get picked off here. Oh, just get up to the main base. Or is it?
Gets a little cheeky. And by the way, 5 probes on this gas, so this is something that it's throwing Stats off a little bit. And does he get to see this robo facility going up too? Let's have a look at SpeCial's vision here, if he can. No, he didn't see it, actually. That's a big deal.
Certainly is. Very nice quick robo here for Stats. It's just one gate robo, bit of an old school opening, and SpeCial's getting his 1-1-1 rounded out here. And with just a couple gateway units, no bunker, you can actually deny mining from this natural for a minute here. Just 3 Marines, needs this Cyclone to be safe.
So the fact that he didn't get to scout which tech structure was going up by Stats, he actually has to throw down this Cyclone. The Cyclone, if an Oracle wanders into your base and you don't have that unit, you suffer way too many losses. So the fact that he's had to go for that, it's a bit of a nuisance, honestly, for the Terran player. So that's a little victory there for Stats.
Seems like it's time for SpeCial to come down here and secure that natural. He wants to be able to mine from it. This Adept Shade slowing down his move out here, just respecting it. And now that Cyclone is out, this is done and dusted.
And Stats, I believe, in fact, this might have been a situation where he thought his robo got scouted. Thus, he stayed for a little bit longer than he probably should have, just because he thought, he won't be making a Cyclone against me now, given that he scouted that robo. But he gets away with all his units intact. A little bit of hull damage there.
Couple gases going down the natural here for Stats, as well as a Forge and a Robo, so it looks like he wants to start getting into Colossus tech eventually, just in case SpeCial goes for that big unupgraded Marine attack with a couple factory units, which a lot of Terrans been showing in this matchup. And I like the Cloak Banshee here from SpeCial as well. This certainly found its way back in this matchup and has been there for quite a while, this Cloak Banshee harassment.
Yeah, for a while, when Widowmines needed detection, Cloak Banshee was kind of do you really want to make that? Because they're always going to be making detection because those Widowmine drops are so prevalent. But when Widowmines became visible, after they blew up at least, Banshees then came into the fray because Protoss started skipping out on detection, but that is not what Stats is doing here. That Observer marching straight. Oh, in fact.
Wow, good scout on this Observer.
Beautiful scout. So he knows exactly what's going off here from his opponent.
He not only saw the Banshee, sees the Cyclone and the tank, and that there's a bunker in the natural, and he has absolute information here on SpeCial. I mean, the one thing he doesn't know is whether or not this Banshee has Cloak, but you can kind of put 2 and 2 together and find out that it in fact equals 4. You get some observers back at home, and then the Banshee will not do too much damage.
Interesting choice of SpeCial, not opting for a 3rd CC, instead going for the 2nd and 3rd barracks. This looks like he's going to be planning to pile on a lot of pressure very, very soon. Now, depending on how much damage this Banshee can do, which doesn't look like it's going to be a lot, Stats being the world-class player that he is, in the absolute perfect position to hold this off. Even throwing down shield batteries, and I love this, by the way. He had more of his units at his natural without the shield battery, just a couple in the main with a shield battery, but now he's covering all the blocks here.
Yeah, it's a perfect spread of units. This is a nice catch from SpeCial if he can get that. Oh, man. That is annoying as a Terran player. As you know, Ben, as I know.
And even baiting with the sound, too, like observer mode off, observer.
But you can hear. That's does get it eventually, but it's a little bit annoying having to burn 2 scans for that little boy.
So let's have a look at the situation here. We've got a couple of tanks on the field, tanks still being produced, so 3 tanks is a solid number. Colossi armies aren't the best against those kind of armies, but this is getting scary because Stats has his 3rd up. He's still probing, I do believe. And marching across this map is very tough to do. Which position do you want to take? But 2 Banshees can one-shot probes here. Gets a little bit of damage done and is out of there. Not taking too many shots either.
Yeah, that's the good thing about these 2 Banshees. One-shotting those probes means the shield battery does absolutely nothing to be able to help you out defensively as a Protoss there. at least for the probes. And they're shooting into the natural. SpeCial still abusing the immobility of this army, or the relative immobility of Stats' army. You know, Stats doesn't have Blink. The Twilight Council's just finished now.
I love this by SpeCial, by the way. He is not overcommitting at all, and this is all to buy time for this army to move across the map. SpeCial, by the way, he doesn't have Stim yet. He doesn't have any of the super upgrades for his army, but what a siege up position here, getting the top of the ramp, and this third is definitely under heavy fire here. Big shot on the Colossi too. One Colossi almost falling straight. He's switching.
Sprinting attacks.
He's switching. Okay. One Colossi does fall. Second Colossi does march back with very low health, but what a cleanup by Stats.
Very nice micro from both sides. There's a bit of target fire from SpeCial, trying to finish off those low hit point Colossus, trying not to just do way more damage than he needs to finish off that low hit point Colossus. But Stats ended up just doing the exact same thing on the other side, baiting away the shots, keeping everything alive, and then rolling through that army in the end and taking a pretty good trade. And the most important thing here is keeping that Nexus up.
If we go at this statistically, SpeCial is not out of it yet. Yes, his push did fail, but we look at that worker count actually at the bottom of the screen, 57 to 59. His two bases are very fully saturated here, but that means it's going to be very easy to saturate this third once it is up. So economically, he's not in the worst shape ever. Upgrade-wise, he's getting Stim, he's getting Combat Shields, +1 has finished too. There isn't a second Forge yet on the field for Stats either. In fact, no, okay, 1 just finished, he's getting +2.
Yeah, double forge is what you just do when you're a Protoss and you're just so comfortable. You're like, I'm going to be able to make my units as powerful as possible, dump Chronos in there. Big drop commitment here from SpeCial, which Stats has missed so far. You can see he doesn't have spotting observers out to the left side of the map. It's just coming into this natural. These other observers are at home still because these Banshees are still alive. So this drop is actually going to catch him a little bit by the looks of things.
We'll see. Does he even have Blink at this point in time?
No, he went straight into charge, I think.
Yeah, so no Blink, so he can't hop up under those medevacs, and it looks like SpeCial kind of knows this, running in, diving in for this army, planting the Widow Mines now, and also you can't know if your opponent skipped Blink or not, so it's very scary. So I love the fact how Stats is defending with what he has, and also, yeah, SpeCial, he's just playing very careful against this army, given that he doesn't know that Blink isn't ready yet, if at all on the way.
That's right. So the other SpeCial's upgrade situation leaves a little bit to be desired, but that's very, very common at this point. He only has the one NG Bay churning away those upgrades. Getting into the Ghost Academy, which is pretty cool to see. Now this is, we haven't seen any Templar tech here from Stats, and Robotech doesn't really get hurt too much by the Ghost Academy, but what it does do is it really thins out that ground army. When you get those charge lots up with those upgrades, you can take away their shields, that's half their hit points, and all of a sudden they're a little bit easier to deal with.
One thing that's really nice for Terran players, if you do fall behind in upgrades, you can always go Ghost instead. It may feel like a really weird thing to do, because it's like, oh, I'm at 1-1 against 2-2, but the Ghost CMPs help so much. By the way, it's so beautiful that he's kept both these Banshees alive for so long. How many worker kills have they actually stacked up on these bad guys?
13.
And I mean, that is a super, super worthy opening. And also the fact that it's forced out all the shield batteries, the photon cannons. They've been a real big nuisance. And the supplies, they are dead even right now.
Very neck and neck here, and like you mentioned, the third base could be saturated very quickly for SpeCial, and has been. His income pretty good at this stage, as we can see at the bottom of the screen, thanks to those mules.
This is
Marine as well.
Yeah, this is signaling up for a big all-in from SpeCial, actually. I don't believe there's an armory on the map. I don't believe one's been produced. I wouldn't be surprised as soon as these ghosts are finished that we see a huge push march across the map, even with SCVs coming in, actually.
That actually makes me think about Heart of the Swarm days, the big SCV pull with the ghosts. The no armory was a big sign that they were going to go for a big all-in.
Yeah, the longer this game goes on, honestly, past that push, the more dead SpeCial's going to be, but just buying time, and now we see that his supply has really ramped up. He hasn't been going for those upgrades, so he's got extra money to spend on units. This is definitely going to be quite annoying, especially given that Warp Prism has speed upgrade, I do believe, but you can get that Warp Prism, that's a really that's a really big shutdown. SpeCial needs to do something pretty damn soon, because if 3-3 finishes, forget what I said about the Ghost Maynard, it will not be pretty. It's against 2-2 or nothing kind of situation.
Damn straight. Well, we'll see if SpeCial's going to go for it. He has to pull the trigger soon here, or Stats is just going to be way too powerful. Is this Banshee just not able to get killed? It doesn't have enough dead space there to be able to hit the Forge as well. So it's going to be out of range. Stats is keeping it alive for now, but it is very annoying with that Banshee tucked in there.
So SpeCial actually opting for a 4th CC, but still no upgrade. So I'm really curious as to what his game plan is here, because I really thought he'd be moving out very, very soon, but right now, he's kind of given Stats all the time that he wants. Stats going up to a 4th base now by himself as well. Get 3-3 almost done. High Templars have joined the field.
He just starts the armory now. Perhaps a little bit of indecision here from SpeCial, deciding, oh, maybe I can't do this. Maybe this all-in that I was gearing up for isn't going to work out, so I'll just try and catch up a little bit and just have sheer numbers. I mean, this many Vikings, even without upgrades, could decimate those Colossi. Nice little run by there from Stats, going to give it a damage down on that SV line. Big EMPs here, but the High Templar have still got some juice for some bad weather all over the Viking army and the Bio army or SpeCial on the left there, but there is still so many Terran units remaining.
And look at that EMP as well. 2 more it's only 2 High Templars left, and then it's a 6 Storm on the army of SpeCial. He is hitting right before 3-3. 3-3 coming into completion just now for Stats, but is it too late?
These landed Vikings are actually doing a surprising amount of DPS here, doing a lot against the Stalkers and the Charge Knots, even getting decimated here by the army of SpeCial. He's all over this third Nexus, the Pro Pool, trying to save himself, but it won't be enough. While he's taking huge damage at home, Stats is bleeding out resources.
Stats has barely anything left here. 130 supply for SpeCial against the 80 supply of Stats. 6 sentries warping in. What are they going to do at this point in time? Look at the Vikings. They're going to decimate this probe line over here. They are gutting each other inside and out.
Brutal, savage, wrecked. SpeCial has done it in game 1. He's put on so much hurt on the Protoss. He's up so much army supply. Stats is just trying to warp in as much as he can to hold on. But with this Liberator here and the Bio on the high ground, he just continues to carve into these expensive units, pushing Stats all the way back home, but with nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. He's just going to continue to take more and more damage with SpeCial's reinforcements.
And look at this. This is the rest of the army coming in. Stats' life is not long for this world. Doesn't matter if you have 3-3, you've got no units left, and GG. SpeCial. Mate,
we were doubting him.
I was like, man, you better do something now because that 3-3 is coming along, but his attack was timed so beautifully there. 3-3 was maybe 20 seconds off, and that's when all the units of Stats died. Stats tried to buy time with those Zealot run buys at the 3rd base, denying the 4th base as well. But man, what a timing attack from SpeCial. Also, we have to mention those EMPs that he ran in there. That was absolutely beautiful play by SpeCial. And man, I'm so happy to see that that all worked out well, because when he started putting up the 4th and the late armory and the late engineering bay, I was like, SpeCial, is this a little bit indecisive? But no, he knew exactly what he was doing.
Certainly did. We'll never doubt him ever again. It felt like 3 really important things happened within a split second there. The EMPs from SpeCial, the decision with the Vikings to land and be a part of the battle instead of keeping them up in the sky. Sometimes as a Terran, you're like, oh, that's a lot of really upgraded gateway units. There's also Colossi here, or not Colossi, but there's High Templar here with Storms. If I land my Vikings, am I going to lose 30 army supply for free here? But it actually worked out for him beautifully. Even without any ship upgrades, no armor upgrades, the Vikings did amazingly there. He had them in a beautiful position as well, up against the ledge of the base, without Stats being able to get a surround or any kind of good positioning. And it was just all happening within one beat. Yeah, SpeCial. It was beautiful stuff.
We have to talk about Stats being out on the map a little bit there. Like, he definitely got caught with his pants down and only a section of his army, because he had Stalkers in the main waiting for an army there too. The High Templars being kind of clumped up there. He even had only 2 probes on a gas at the natural for quite some time. So a chink in the armor, like the wall of Stats has been crumbling a little bit. Those Banshees throughout the whole game, they were a real thorn in his side too. Honestly, we just have to commend SpeCial for that play. That was very, very ballsy by him. But also, just there's one thing that I've always felt held back SpeCial, and that was maybe his micro, maybe his control a little bit. Like, he's so chaotic in the way that he plays, and he kind of makes the game chaotic. But here, it was very straightforward, very simple, very clean micro. Those EMPs were absolutely beautiful. And that's something that I haven't really truly seen from him too much.
I remember watching SpeCial over the years, just over his shoulder, watching him ladder in practice at these tournaments. He's one of the fastest players I've ever seen.
Yeah, like, do you remember old Gumiho where he was like FXO? And it was like, he would multitask everywhere. I feel SpeCial is that personified. And in this game, using the Banshees, marching across the map. And we have to remember, his first push actually got smashed. Like, he killed 1 Colossi, but he lost 3 tanks, all his bio and everything, and didn't really slow down Stats that much. But one really beautiful thing he did while doing that push was he didn't stop on producing SCVs, man. He was a true alpha star that game. Like up to 57 SCVs when the 3rd started.
On 2 bases,
kind of yeah. It was definitely something that maybe he picked up from that, you know.
Well, that was game 1, and we are moments away from game 2, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a good time. Hopefully you guys aren't getting too confused with Muslim and I on the microphone at the same time. One's in the chat if you can actually tell who's talking right now. I know the Americans have a little bit of a struggle with it, but a lot of them are asleep at the moment. So
it's funny getting a tweet yesterday, and it's like, man, the Muslim talks a lot, and it's like, dude, I was doing a cast with Maynard. It's like, oh, I thought it was just one guy.
Yeah, we just never take a breath. It's just non-stop. We're verbal diarrhea. But we are in the game in the bottom right here. Winning game number 1. Can he clean sweep it? It is SpeCial.
Spam that Dorito, Twitch chat.
That's right, Twitch chat. Get those Doritos out. And your Protoss fans in the top left, make some Twitch all caps noise for this boy, Splice's Stats.
Stats definitely need... Actually, if we talk about like just how the first part of that game went, Stats' defense was pretty solid. Yes, those Banshees got quite a bit of damage done, but that's mainly just down to how SpeCial utilized it. And when he saw the shield batteries as well, he wasn't like, I'm going to split up my Banshees and just render them useless. He was like, I'm going to use them together. This way I can actually get kills. This is something that's still very useful against you. You have to be on your toes. Your defense has to be super good. Also, the fact that maybe he knew something about Stats' style, the fact that he didn't get Blink. He didn't get Blink for a large portion of that game. Not even when he saw the Banshee opening. Like, he was so confident about defending it. By the way, seeing a probe this early, this usually signifies like, okay, I'm not against any kind of proxy gateway. If a probe arrives around the 1 minute mark, in fact, before the 1 minute mark, you can be getting cannon rushed.
That's right.
But if it arrives around the 1 minute mark, it just means it went straight to your base to scout you, and usually didn't have time to plonk down a gateway. So in SpeCial's mind right now, this is probably the most comfortable he's been in this series, just because he's like, okay, my opponent isn't doing anything cheeky like that on the map. And this SCV, like, I doubt he'll even scout around with it, just because it's like, okay, I'm going to get the CC up and then resume normal play, because I did just win the first game of this series.
Yeah, that is a good bit of information there from Big Brain Ben. All you ladder Terrans at home. If the probe arrives around 1 minute 20, 1 minute 25, then he took a stop at Gateway Town on the way to your base.
Yeah, that is not a good town to stop at if you're a Terran either.
That's right, it's a bad neighborhood. They don't take kindly to Terrans in that street.
And that's why you can absolutely see that he isn't opting for an SCV scout this game, whereas he did kind of the game before, you know, just to make sure that nothing was going down, nothing cheeky. A tech lab?
Marauder? Or straight into Cyclone,
I think this is going to be like straight into Tech Lab. Actually, it may not. I thought that was going to be a reactor as soon as I saw that. I was like, oh, we're going to see the Innovation Raven build. But no, Tech Lab very quickly. So I'm looking forward to see what he does with this, because this can be a lot of things. It can be like the fastest Cyclone ever into the fastest Cloak Banshee, where you put the starport directly on the Tech Lab. But we do have a reactor being made now too. A barracks also joining the fray.
Interesting. This keeps the Reaper at home, obviously. He had to come home and help out with this SCV, taking a lot of hit point damage from that probe, the scouting probe of Stats.
Oh, and SpeCial, he really wanted to get that SCV home, not to lose it. Yes, you delay your CC, but not losing the SCV is a bigger deal. So getting a really fast Cyclone here, also opting for a very quick second Rax and third Rax. Ooh, this is cheeky. I haven't seen a build like this in quite some time.
Nice jukes for this Reaper by SpeCial, by the way, avoiding that Adept. The Adept is lava, stay out of there. He's doing a really good job, but I mean, with a fast Cyclone opening, this opening of Stats kind of looks negated for the most part. Oopsie daisies. Didn't expect him to still be there.
That's a valuable pick off for Stats, because now he doesn't really have to worry about anything coming to his side of the map. And he did see the Tech Lab, right, on the factory in SpeCial's main.
Yes, his Adept Shade saw it.
Right, so he can just pile on pressure here. I mean, getting out of Cyclone, that is going to hold off some pressure, but 8 Oracle and 3 Adepts can take down a Cyclone easy peasy. So Stats, he doesn't have to worry about denying vision anymore, denying information from his opponent with that Reaper. Just going to march across the map here.
Yeah, I mean, there's no bunker at the moment, and there's not that many Marines, so these Adepts can actually take this fight with good control. Obviously, the Cyclone's going to help out quite a bit, but then the Oracle can just head into the main base where the Cyclone isn't, or even just dive here and try and burn everything down with sheer DPS. It looks like he might be overextending, though. That's more barracks than it looks like Stats was ready for, and the Oracle gets picked off. Oh man, big blunder there from Stats.
Man, that looks so fancy from Stats. He was dancing with that Oracle, but SpeCial was having none of it, man. He was like, okay, I'm gonna dance with you too. I'm gonna wait to lock on. I'm gonna focus the lock on that Oracle, and I'm gonna get it down. And now Stats following up with 3 more gateways before the 3rd. So he's a little scared here with this follow-up.
It's just looking a little bit shaky at the moment, young Stats. Not having a great first series so far. SpeCial getting the siege tank count up. He's getting the engineering bay ready for turrets so that he doesn't have to worry about these oracles anymore. Now, some nice first-person cam here, seeing what Stats is up to.
This is a lesson on how, in fact, losing that much health on an Oracle, I was about to say that was really nice until just flew in a little bit there. By the way, just a few little mistakes from Stats here and there. Isn't putting down a third here, by the way, he is very quick and very precise. But no third on the way, charge before blink here. This is a very strange build from Stats as well.
It's not something I've seen, to be honest.
6 gateways, right? So it's
I mean, yeah, normally when you have this kind of gateway count, you want to be looking at a third base, maybe just not have all your gases taken. Like, what are you going to do with all these gases?
Yeah, this turret does finish, but he is suffering quite a bit of damage here in his mineral line. Is special. Okay, so this is a decent army. By the way, Blink is on the way now, so that charge was a little bit indecisive from Stats. And now, if you've got Blink Stalkers and Oracles and you've got this army marching at you, man, the Terran is feeling very good right now.
Yeah, this push looks extremely scary. Much more than the one we saw in the first game. This Stasis Ward could potentially be nice, though, if SpeCial's not looking. Oh, man. 2 tanks taken out of the contention there. SpeCial not too happy about that one. I mean, Stats is going to try and come through and pick off this tank, but it's lonesome. Try and burn through the Marines as well before the other tanks get out of stasis. And it just looks like Stats has got this thanks to the Stasis Ward.
Absolutely, that Stasis Ward was so clutch. And when you see Terran Army just marching into it, man, does it feel bad. And these units left over, this is just tanks being picked off and
GG.
Oh, wow, I tell you. That was a hard-fought victory for SpeCial in the first game, but Stats, he just handled this so well. And that Stasis, a game-winning Stasis right there.
Yeah. It's kind of rare, right? I know that Stasis Ward is extremely powerful, but it's kind of rare to see one Stasis Ward literally end the game.
And in that game, it definitely did. It just sectioned off half the army. Half the army's useless and just stasis for the whole time. The other half can't really fight and win. Even though he did lose the 2 Oracles at the start of that fight and stuff, it was just too much. SpeCial can't reinforce because it's... In fact, that was one thing that's really key. So Stats put his army in between the reinforcements and the army, right? So SpeCial was stuck in a hard place. He can't reinforce, and he just kind of has to leave that army out there to die. So that was really nice positioning by Stats, honestly.
Very nicely done. So we are seeing ourselves tied up 1 apiece. We got ourselves a series, Ben. That gets me very excited here. It's actually kind of hard to call now.
Do you know one thing that's beautiful about these two, too? So in the 10 times that they've played each other throughout their careers, Stats has won 8 of those series, SpeCial winning 2. But the actual maps between them, it's a 2-to-1 ratio for Stats, so much closer than it is in series. So these guys, they really do go toe-to-toe when it comes to the maps in the series and just having good games. But Stats usually just edges him out a little bit.
They've got a lovely history together, actually, and by lovely I mean it's a bit of a blood-filled past, you know. SpeCial getting Stats knocked out in 2017 BlizzCon, 2018 SpeCial making it to the round of 4, and then of course SpeCial getting the better of Stats in the qualifiers for this event. Stats getting the better of SpeCial in last year's BlizzCon, the World Final.
Yeah,
so a little bit of back and forth when it counts on the big stage here between these 2 players.
Although Stats has been his final boss quite a few times, losing at WCS BlizzCon 2008 or 2018 in the round of 8, and the GSL versus the World main event round of 8, GSL season, or even in the qualifiers for GSL too. So Stats is definitely like this is one of, if not the best Protoss, Korean Protoss that we've seen in quite a long time. He came second at GSL versus the World, lost against Cyril in the final. Came second at BlizzCon, of all things, losing against Cyril in the final. This is absolutely one of the best players in the world. And he's 1-1 against SpeCial right now. SpeCial being one of the best foreign Terrans. Man, and this is just the group stages, boys. This is this is so crazy, man.
That's what this tournament's all about, dude. That's why people keep talking about this tournament all year long, and they will be in 8 months' time when we're looking at the global finals. This event will still be talked about.
This is the first match also of Group A. This is crazy. This is not going to get much easier for either one of them either. When you look at the field here, like just to mention some of the names in this group, if you have yet to see them, we have Stats, SpeCial, obviously, Zest, Hero, Patience, and Creator. Yes, that is 5 Protosses and 1 SpeCial. But if he can go or if he can start off this day with a win against Stats, man, that would be absolutely cracking for SpeCial.
And it's absolutely doable as well, which is why this game has got me so excited. We are just about ready to jump into game number 3. Ladies and gentlemen out there in the chat, let's get amongst it.
So, spawning in the top right, as our blue Terran on Automaton, it is SpeCial.
Get those Doritos out.
Absolutely. Help Juanito.
That's it. And if you've got some hats to spam, do them for this gentleman in the far left of Automaton. It is Splice's Stats.
Now, this is one of the bigger maps in the pool, Automaton. Now, Stats is placing his pylon here. This is one of the maps where a Reaper can jump into your base, and that is the only spot from the high or the low ground that he can jump in. So, Stats being very methodical there, being very normal. Being careful, too. It's always worth making a wall, by the way. And also SpeCial here, this is something that went a little bit out of fashion for a while. Fake proxying. Now, you can really throw your opponent off, especially if he doesn't scout it. He's just like, oh my gosh, which all-in are you going to do to me? This is a map, too, where we've seen, like, ghosts being attempted, where you fly into the main and make the Ghost Academy somewhere else on the map. There's been proxy starports, proxy factories, you name it. So doing this on this map, this is because it is one of the larger maps. Trying to get ahead or play toe-to-toe with a Protoss is very difficult because getting 3 bases fully set up and fully saturated, it's very easy for a Protoss to get it done.
Definitely. And this is the kind of thing where you're trying to force a zealot out of your opponent. You want them to make a unit that's not going to be too useful while just getting your barracks back at home, getting a factory back at home, and going on from there.
And Stats not really falling for any of it, by the way. He scouted and he was like, oh, what? Yeah, I'm going to make my Nexus still before my Cybercore. Yeah, I'll make a zealot too. But so far, he hasn't really, and seeing the factory at home, then you know, I'm not too worried anymore. I'll just continue as normal. I'll continue making probes. We'll chrono boost out the probes.
If you're super confident, you just cancel the Zealot, wait for an Adept instead.
If you're super confident,
If you're super confident, but this is game 3 in the round of 24, you know, Stats doesn't want to pull too many punches here. Juanito is a very scary Terran.
So if you're a Terran player at this point, and you have to bring your Reaper home because this probe stuck around, that's always a little bit annoying. And for the Protoss, yeah, you lose your probe, but after seeing that Reaper go home, you know it's nothing bad. You knew it was a fake proxy, so the barracks was close to home. Thus, game resumes as normal. Stats did not overreact. He did not take the bait that SpeCial presented him.
Nah, it's just amazing that he still just went the Nexus before Cybercore, even with everything that he scouted with that probe. Confidence in his play here. We have that Reaper of Juanito coming across the map to have a little bit of a look. It's been walled off here on the high ground, so not being able to jump off and abuse that little clip there. And Stats has been actually, all the maps that have that Reaper ledge, Stats has been walling it off. He doesn't want to play the Reaper dance game.
No, I think it's very respectable too. Like, that Reaper, information is power in StarCraft II. If a Terran knows what you're doing, be it a Stargate, he often opens up a Cyclone. If he knows you're not doing a Stargate, skips the Cyclone, gets some pressure going, could even get a Raven build out if he sees a Robo first. So this is one of the matchups that you definitely want to hide your tech, and Stats has done a damn good job of doing it. One thing he did reveal, he revealed the Zealot early on, just there with the Reaper. And that's one thing that SpeCial can maybe be like, okay, my proxy did do something, so I'm not actually even remotely as far behind as I potentially thought I could be.
We've got a Widowmine drop gearing up here for SpeCial. Very, very old school way to open TVP that's been finding its way back in the current meta of the game, and a 3-gate Robo opening for Stats.
So the Widowmine drop, like, this CC is definitely late. If we look at the income at the bottom, though, it's not too far behind, given that he's had a Mule on one base, and he's also doing the Alpha Star thing with the high production of SCVs, but obviously they will be brought over to the natural once it lands. Now, this is where the game can get a little bit chaotic. Was that just another probe?
It was just a probe.
Okay, but still, getting 2 probes with your Reaper, not a bad start. Now, this is the question. What is SpeCial going to do? Where is he going to land with this medevac? Because that could potentially deal a lot of damage. I love this. He's running in with the Reaper ready to distract, potentially, while sending the medevac to the main base. We'll see how he goes
units
in.
there, though.
Yeah, Stats is being very thorough about how he handles this, and SpeCial just running right in there.
Dive, dive, dive. He's going for that probe line. It's like one of the Widowmines nearly gets picked off. They can actually unburrow these Widowmines and put them back into the medevac. Got one charge to that Widowmine. That's good. The medevac's going to go down.
Yes.
Oh, that's annoying for SpeCial. Big pick off there for Stats. He is taking damage from these mines, but certainly not as much as SpeCial would have liked.
One really huge thing about all of this, though, is the denied mining there. So the reason that he lost the medevac, he wants to pick up the Widow mines, then plant them down again. Obviously, the ideal situation is you lose nothing. But the longer that you are there, even if it's just for a second or two, that denied mining is so big. What is this? This Widow mine still here? Well, SpeCial's going to look at that and be like, well, maybe I should have probably... I expected you to kill that a bit earlier, but there's so much going off that he was trying to kill this Observer, and I just saw a smile happen on SpeCial's face there. Probably not happy about that one.
Well, he's getting the Ravens up here. Extra barracks is going down next to those tech labs. Switch over, get Stim and Combat Shield. And what's he going to get on this factory here? Is he going to continue tank production? Is he going to get into Cyclones? Like, what is the next step for SpeCial?
He's kind of placed it in a location where he can't add an add-on to it yet, so I don't think he's even really thinking about it too much. Oh, if this Banshee gets shut down.
Ouch. Stats is having a great game here.
The fortunate thing about the Banshee is at least he didn't upgrade Cloak. So it's not as if he planned on that being around for a super long time. I think he kind of wanted to scout a little bit with that. But this Observer, this is seeing everything. I think it's going to have to run away pretty soon because there is a Raven on the field now. In fact, where is that Raven?
It's coming back now. If you're really fed up with everything, you drop an auto turret to kill it here.
And then if it still gets away, that's when you're in
life tilt.
Absolutely. Life on the line here. Or at least first match of the group stage life. We'll get it with the turret.
Yeah.
You might question, is that worth it? Stats is probably like, that got enough information, and that means one less interference matrix on my Colossi, which I am teching up to and making. So this game is kind of normalizing at this part in time. Stats defended really darn well. That Widowmine drop didn't do that much damage. In fact, SpeCial went for a very quick third CC here, so this isn't your standard.
This is something that TY likes to do in this matchup, actually, and I've seen Maru do it a little bit as well. Very, very fast, third CC, and usually it goes into a little bit more than just the one engineering bay worth of upgrades, but it can also just turn into a massive army supply spike for the Terran because of that 3cc worth of income and production.
Yeah, one thing that SpeCial has done really well in this series so far is not fall too far behind in the workers. Like 51 against 57, that is really darn good. I've had games on the ladder and these guys are way above me, but I'll be at like 46 SCVs against 60 probes. So the fact that he's a good 7-8 SCVs ahead of where I would be, yeah, he's definitely macroing well behind this, and the supplies are pretty darn close, and yet again.
It looked like SpeCial just caught tabs of these push out here from Stats. And he's got these medevacs sort of diving around looking for this Observer here, but unfortunately it means his army's a little bit split up.
Absolutely, kind of getting caught a little bit here. There is a tank there though. That will deflect the damage. This army doesn't really have a lot of zealots in it. Yeah. If you've just got range units, they tend to clump really, really hard, meaning those AoE units such as tanks do even greater damage against it. So Stats just putting out a bit of pressure there. That was almost trying to force a reaction out of SpeCial.
Is that Prism speed again from Stats?
I think it could be.
Okay.
I mean, why you don't need to get Observer speed anymore, Maynard. Those Observers are fast as lightning, mate.
They're zippy.
Okay, so double forge this game as well for Stats. This is very similar to game one, except the Banshees didn't stick around to deal a lot of damage. SpeCial actually getting ahead in workers on his Protoss opponent. It really feels like Stats is kind of like, okay, I'll get up to this worker count, but I don't want to play too risky right now. I know that if I just hold on, I'll be fine. But sticking at that work account, that's a really low work account to be at. I feel he's kind of playing a bit with fire right there.
I agree. It felt like it was a very strong early game here for Stats, but just based on pure macro, SpeCial is back in this.
Yeah, like Stats is definitely playing a little bit scared, and maybe that's just because he respects this Terran play in SpeCial, given that, wow, he bust out like a real true 1-1 timing in the first game, and that can really throw you off in the rest of the series, right?
This Prism could potentially do a lot of damage, though. SpeCial doesn't have any patrolling Vikings. He has a spotting as a supply depot on the edge of the main, but all of his production's being rallied out here, as it generally is. Nothing's really sitting in the main. There's no, patrolling Cyclone, no siege tank. So he dives right into this mineral line, where the SCVs are already softened from earlier.
From that pesky probe earlier, too, of all things. And also, I love the fact that he's getting Warp Prism speed, by the way. Like, he gets out of there, doesn't even have to worry too hard. Could even go and pick up these Zealots, too.
Flying around at the speed of sound. Oh, the Prism! No, it's not enough dead space here!
What's happening?
Stats! What? You silly Protoss. Whoopsie daisies.
This is almost like that glitch in the Matrix, He did the same thing in the first game on Cyber Forest with the Warp Prism, just flew it in and just lost it despite... And that's a big investment, too. Warp Prism is meant to buy you so much time, but when you get the Warp Prism speed, too...
Goodness.
That's going to be making SpeCial feel good, because right now he's lining up for the same push, except he has a Raven with this.
Yeah,
this is scarier. To control.
Scarier than game number one, and the boys are coming as well.
Let's go. This is SpeCial. Life on the line here. Man, that Raven's got full energy too. I'm really curious as to what he's going to be doing with it. He doesn't see any storm. In fact, there's one.
He's going for the Colossi. He's going to lock down these Colossi. Going to get those EMPs and try and soften up his army first here.
This is such a hard army to buy from SpeCial. In fact, from both sides. Stats, does he have Storm ready? Is it available on any of his High Templars? No,
he hasn't even started it.
So Stats is actually using this High Templar. He's kind of baiting. He obviously wants to feedback, but he's kind of baiting the fact that, hey, I do have Storm. You can't just run in and take this fight. But he got the Raven. He got the Raven with the feedback. That's huge.
Massive pick off there. There is still so much remaining from SpeCial though. Can the Vikings thin out the splash damage? If they can, the Bio should be able to do the rest. No, it looks like Stats has still got so much remaining. SpeCial losing that Raven here. It's making this so much harder than it needed to be.
Oh man, those High Templars, they kind of faked that they had Storm. They wanted to feedback anything they could, and he gets the most valuable unit of them all. Stats still fighting, SpeCial still fighting too, running away now, but what does he have left? And GG, Stats takes a pretty tight series against SpeCial in that first game. Losing that Raven, it had literally full energy. That could have been so much. Could have been 4 interference matrices, could have been 2 anti-arm missiles and an interference matrix. I am so impressed by Stats. The way that he held his composure there, he knew exactly what he needed to do to get ahead in that game, and he did it, man.
Man, couple big mistakes from both players in this series, but in the end, an incredibly high level and wonderful series, and very, very closely matched. And of course, that means that's just the one of many TVPs here for Juanito. And when we come back, we're going to have an interview with our winner in SMIX. Guys, don't go away. Lots of StarCraft to follow. We'll see you then.
We started off with our first match in Group A, and it's Stats that takes down the Dorito Juanito 2-1. So first of all, congratulations, Stats. SpeCial is a player that you played 4 times last year, and all 4 times you won. So coming into this match, did that make you feel a bit more comfortable?
일단 축하드리고요. 작년에 스페셜 선수와 4번이나 만났는데 4번 다 이겼었어요. 그래서 이 경기 들어가기 전에 좀 더 마음이 편했나요?
4번 작년에 제가 4번 다 만나서 4번 다 이겼다는 사실을 몰랐던 그런 상황이었는데 4번이나 이겼다는 것을 듣고 좀 굉장히 놀랐고요. 사실 오늘 경기에 임하는 데 있어서 되게 좀 걱정이 많았어요. 후안 선수가 프로토스전 준비도 굉장히 열심히 했고 근데 어떻게 좀 쉽지 않은 경기였지만은 운이 저한테 많이 따라줘가지고 승리할 수 있었던 것 같아요.
So he says, truthfully speaking, I wasn't aware that I had faced him 4 times and won all 4 times. So to hear that, I'm honestly a bit surprised. And coming into my first match against him, I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit uneasy. I know that SpeCial has been preparing really, really hard against his TVP. And so because of that, I was a little bit apprehensive. But coming into the matches, I think that there were a key few very lucky moments that went in my favor. And I think because of that, I was able to win. So let's talk about the games themselves, because as you said, there were a few moments that went very much in your favor. How do you feel about how the series went?
그 경기들 대해서 물어보고 싶은데 김대엽 선수가 말했듯이 좀 운 좋은 되게 순간들이 좀 있었어요. 그래서 그냥 그 경기들에 대해서 어떻게 그냥 얘기해 주세요. 기분이 어땠었는지.
일단 첫 번째 게임에서도 제가 업그레이드도 앞서고 그런 상황이었는데 제가 너무 좀 긴장을 하다 보니까 한방 싸움을 너무 못해서 첫 번째 세트를 이렇게 허무하게 내줘가지고 그게 좀 아쉬웠었고, 두 번째 세트 때 그 정지장 수호몰 그 대박만 제발 걸려라 하면서 기도하고 있었었는데 그게 다행히도 잘 들어가가지고 손쉽게 이길 수 있었던 것 같았고, 세 번째 게임 같은 경우에도 후안 선수가 첫 번째 벤시나 의료선이나 그 의료선 마인드라 몬거나 그런 것들을 제가 좀 후안 선수의 실수와 함께 운 좋게 제가 잡아내면서 그 유리한 상황을 이렇게 계속 고지하면서 승리를 할 수 있었던 것 같아요.
So he says, when it comes to that first game, I was kind of sad about it because I really felt like I was in a good position. I was ahead in upgrades as well. And I really feel like when it came to that massive fight, I just did not control my army well at all. And I felt like I just kind of gave that map away, which was a shame because I knew I was ahead in terms of everything else. So that map kind of sucked for me. And then coming into that second game, I just prayed to myself, please let the stasis ward work. And I really prayed hard for it. And luckily it did work. His army fell right into my stasis ward, so I was really happy that I was able to win map 2 in that way. And in game number 3, I think that I had a fortunate start because I was able to defend his earlier Banshee as well as Mind Drop Harass, and I think because of that little advantage that I gained in the beginning, I was able to carry that forward and ensure that I was able to continue that momentum and win the entire map altogether. And now moving forward, you only have Protoss left. The next Protoss player that you're going to face is actually Patience. So what are your thoughts on Patience?
이제 마지막이 아니라 다음 선수는 조지현 선수를 만날 건데 토스전 그러니까 조지현 선수에 대해서 어떻게 생각하세요?
일단 제가 지현이하고도 한 몇 주 전에도 한두 판 연습을 했었었는데 프로토스 대 프로토스전 굉장히 잘 하더라고요, 지현이가. 그래서 좀 쉽게 볼 상대는 아닌 것 같고 저도 준비해 왔던 빌드를 하나 두 개씩 꺼내야 될 것 같아요.
So he says, Patience is a player that I actually played against a few weeks ago. I practiced against him, and the first thing that I felt is that his PvP is very good, and so he's definitely not an opponent that I'm going to underestimate by any means. I have prepared a lot of different PvP strategies, and I think that I'll have to bring out some of them in that match against him. Well, congratulations once again on this first win over SpeCial. Colaris, let's head back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Mix. Good start for Stats. However, SpeCial, it was a good start for him in that series, of course, and then that cheeky stasis ward, Rotterdam, got in his way.
I mean, they're so good. Sorry, that's an inside joke. No, that was pretty clutch. I mean, obviously that push would have been quite scary. Kairos Junction, also one of the smaller maps. Obviously very big if you expand to the corners, but from natural to natural, those pushes of Terran can hit pretty fast. We all know what happens if a bunker or two goes up there as well. And suddenly your Stalkers are no good anymore. So it was indeed a very, very clutch stasis ward.
Yeah, very good stuff. But SpeCial showed glimmers of hope, I think, at the beginning of that series. Unfortunately for him, it didn't quite pan out. Does that set him up okay for the rest of the series, or is just this Stats and that's how
Certainly
it's
not, James. A loss is a pretty big deal.
Oh, yeah, we're already there, are we? All right, okay. I'm going to quickly jump over to Kevin. I'm going to acknowledge it. And you did have game number 2 versus Patience and Creator. What happened there?
What happened there, Kevin?
What happened there?
What happened there?
You know, I'm going to keep it short, James. I'm going to keep it somewhat short. Now, Jeff did tell us before we hopped into the actual series that Patience took a pretty quick 1-0 lead over Creator. He was up 60 supply. Game 2 was played on King's Cove. If you guys want, we can go ahead and hop into this replay, and I'll give you guys a run of it. It wasn't exactly the most amazing game of all time. It was a good old Oracle opening. Patience, you guys can see that a couple units went down on each side. You could say this was a little bit better for Patience. Now, of course, the power of Oracles is also that you force out Stalkers. So even though supply-wise, this is awfully close, there are 6 Stalkers in the mix, and we all know Stalkers are not ideal. Anyway, this is the game-deciding fight. Patience makes an attack, and, you know, Todd is looking at those supplies. I'm looking at those supplies. You're like, you know, this is actually really close. Is a game supposed to end here when you're dead even on upgrades, you're running up a ramp? Well, James, or
anybody,
Jeff,
really.
in PvP, both things happen. Now, I think
this could be for everybody, Kevin.
As many people named James?
This was the most important thing. There was an Archon that finished up morphing here, and Creator's like, I really want this Archon to participate in the fight. So he put this guy over here. And basically, I feel like this is one of the main reasons why this fight did not go his way. Just look at this guy on the north. He's like,
while he's getting hit by the south.
It's Todd on a break.
He's trying his best, but he's just not participating in the fight at all. And one Archon can actually make a pretty big impact on these fights, especially once Zealots get on top of Stalkers and Immortals. That Archon really could have put in some extra work. This battle goes on for a while. There is a hallucinated Colossus in the back looking really cool. Obviously, it doesn't do much, but this is awfully close. But in the end, Patience does barely push these units back. But I still think there's a little bit of hope until that Oracle is like, you know, there's still an Oracle, right?
Yeah.
Patience is like, yeah, there's an Oracle. Bam. Boop. And that's pretty much it. I mean, obviously now the Nexus goes down. So Patience just kind of hitting with a timing attack off the back of his 2 Oracle opening.
Nice. And that is the round completed. We did have other results coming in as well. Hero went 2-0 versus Zest. I'm going to give Jeff what he wants and say, you know, Patience 2-0, Zest 2-0, and Stats 2-1. That's a good start for them.
It is. When you get into these kind of StarCraft matches and you're playing just one of the matches, generally speaking, the way you kind of measure it, a win is good, a loss is bad, and then a draw is improbable.
I'm actually a little bit confused now because you just said Hero beats Zest, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
but
he misspoke.
The graphics are saying, yeah, okay. So what's the
James,
correct one?
I was going to let it slide, just so you know. Roddy is not letting that slide.
You know what? I'm just going to delete that.
I just want to make sure.
Zest won 2-0.
Okay, so...
You're not wrong.
Yes. That's
so here's where I was confused.
It was me.
It's Zest versus Creator, and it's a round robin, so it's not necessarily winner versus winner, loser versus loser. It's all mixed up. So that's actually my fault, because I told him that Zest lost because of that.
Okay.
But Zest won.
All right.
And he's actually in a PvP field, so I meant to say this at the beginning of the show, but you were like, you know, Stats going to make it out of here. I actually think Zest's the favorite to win this group, number 1.
That's why I got it wrong.
I mean, it's so interesting, right? Because Zest does have a really good PvP record over the last 4 or 5 months, but then recently in the GSL lost not once, but twice versus Patience. So
but Kevin, before you go any further, to me it's a real big deal that we don't measure the entirety of a player's skill based off of one-day performances. People like Kevin, the Twitch chat, they all kind of do that a whole bunch.
I'm in agreement with you, Jeff.
You're in agreement with me?
Yeah, I do agree with you.
All right.
Even one series in the GSL, you know, that could be the definition between you're a great player and you're a terrible player.
You know what's a bad start to the round of 32?
No.
Losing.
That's not wrong. All right, well, and with that, let's go to a break as quickly as possible here at the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. We'll be right back with more StarCraft PvPs.